How would you like to hear about a man who sold an airport that never existed to investors and got away with millions of dollars? Get ready to be amazed as we unravel the unbelievable tale of Emmanuel Nwude, a master con artist who successfully sold a fake airport to investors. Enjoy the video. Welcome everyone. Today's topic in insurance scams and frauds is a captivating tale of Emmanuel Nwude selling a fake airport to investors. So, make sure you don't miss out on this intriguing story. Do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel before we begin. Emmanuel Nwude was born in Nigeria in 1954 and worked as a civil servant before becoming involved in various business ventures. He was a successful businessman involved in real estate, banking, and other industries. Before the airport scam, he had a reputation as a shrewd and savvy businessman. Emmanuel Nwude became involved in the airport scam when a man named Nelson Sakaguchi approached him with an opportunity to purchase the Abuja International Airport. Sakaguchi claimed to represent a consortium of international businessmen who were interested in buying the airport. Nwude, who had connections with high-ranking officials in the Nigerian government, saw an opportunity to make a large profit by facilitating the sale. He went through with the fraud because he believed that he could get away with it and that the potential payout was worth the risk. Additionally, Nwude was known for his extravagant lifestyle and expensive tastes, and he may have been motivated by a desire to maintain his luxurious lifestyle. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Nigeria was facing a lot of economic and political instability. Corruption was rampant in the government and there was a lack of trust in financial institutions. This made it difficult for legitimate businesses to thrive and people were looking for any opportunity to make money quickly. Nwude, like many other Nigerians at the time, may have been desperate for a way to improve his financial situation. The idea of selling a fake airport to gullible investors would have been tempting in such an environment, especially since he believed he could get away with it due to the corrupt nature of the government and law enforcement. Additionally, Nwude may have been motivated by a desire for personal gain and prestige, as he would have become known as the man who sold an airport to foreign investors. To create a fake airport, Nwude and his accomplices embarked on an elaborate scheme that involved several stages. First, they scouted for a suitable location, settling on a swampy piece of land near the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. They then proceeded to create fake documents, including a certificate of occupancy and a letter from the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority approving the airport's construction. Next, they set up a fake construction company to give the project a veneer of legitimacy. They hired construction workers to dig a large hole in the swamp and pile up sand around it to resemble a runway. They also built a control tower and other structures to complete the illusion. To further reinforce the impression that the airport was real, Nwude and his accomplices hired people to pose as government officials, complete with fake uniforms and identity cards. They even went as far as to organize a fake opening ceremony, inviting prominent Nigerian politicians and business people to attend. Through these tactics, Nwude and his team were able to convince the investors that the airport was legitimate and that their investment would yield significant returns. To convince potential investors, Nwude and his accomplices went to great lengths to create a convincing illusion of a legitimate airport project. They hired actors to play the roles of airline executives and government officials, complete with fake documents and letterheads. Nwude also used his own connections within the Nigerian government to make the project seem more credible, such as arranging for the group to meet with high-ranking officials and providing them with official-looking documents and permits. Nwude was a masterful manipulator and used his charm and persuasive skills to sell the project, convincing investors that they were making a sound investment in a promising venture. He promised them large returns on their investment and played on their greed and desire for success. He also used his reputation as a wealthy businessman to further convince potential investors, leading them to believe that he was a successful entrepreneur with a proven track record of success. Some of the investors who fell for Nwude's airport fraud and invested millions of dollars include Nelson Sakaguchi, a Brazilian banker who invested $242 million, and a group of Lebanese businessmen who invested $178 million. There were also several other individuals and organizations who fell victim to the fraud and invested varying amounts of money. In total, Nwude and his accomplices were able to swindle their victims out of $242 million before being caught. Nwude and his accomplices were able to make a staggering $242 million from the airport scam. This amount was the largest recorded amount in a single transaction in Nigeria at the time. The investors were promised a return on investment of 100% within 6 months, which was a huge incentive for them to invest. They were also given assurances by Nwude and his team that the airport was fully backed by the Nigerian government and that all necessary documents and approvals had been obtained. The investors were willing to pay huge sums of money for what they believed was a genuine opportunity to invest in a lucrative airport project. However, it was all a scam, and the investors eventually lost their money. While Nwude was known for his involvement in the airport scam, he was also known for his generosity towards his friends and family, as well as the people in his community. He used his wealth to help those around him, and was particularly known for his philanthropic activities. For example, he donated money to local schools, provided scholarships to underprivileged students, and gave money to hospitals and charities. Nwude's generosity was likely rooted in his belief that he needed to use his wealth to give back to the community that had supported him throughout his life. While he may have made his money through illegal means, he saw it as his responsibility to use that money to help others. In this way, he was able to make a positive impact on the lives of many people, even while dealing with the consequences of his actions in the airport scam. In 2004, Nwude was arrested by the Nigerian Economic and Financial Crimes Commission after an investigation revealed the details of his airport scam. The EFCC had been tipped off by a man who had unknowingly invested in the fake airport and lost a large sum of money. The commission then launched a full investigation and discovered the elaborate scheme Nwude had created. International law enforcement agencies, including the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Metropolitan Police in London, also became involved in the case. This was due to the fact that some of the victims of the scam were based in these countries. The Nigerian government then began extradition proceedings to have Nwude extradited to the United States to face charges of wire fraud and money laundering. However, Nwude challenged the extradition and claimed that the Nigerian government was acting on behalf of the victims in the United States rather than in the interests of Nigeria. Eventually, Nwude was tried and convicted in Nigeria, along with his accomplices, and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. He was also ordered to pay restitution to his victims, although it is unclear how much he was able to pay back. The involvement of international law enforcement agencies and the Nigerian government highlights the seriousness of Nwude's crime and the extent of its impact. After investigations into the scam, the Nigerian government discovered that Nwude and his accomplices had been involved in several other fraudulent schemes in the past. This prompted the government to request assistance from the international police to track down and apprehend Nwude. In 2003, Nwude was arrested in a hotel in Abuja, Nigeria by the Nigerian Economic and Financial Crimes Commission with the help of Interpol. He was charged with 86 counts of forgery, conspiracy to commit fraud, and impersonation. During his trial, Nwude initially denied any involvement in the airport scam, but eventually confessed to his role in the scheme. He was sentenced to 5 concurrent sentences of 5 years in prison and ordered to pay restitution to his victims. The Nigerian government also seized several of Nwude's assets, including his mansion and luxury cars. Emmanuel Nwude was arrested in 2004 and charged with fraud and conspiracy. He was found guilty and sentenced to 5 concurrent sentences of 5 years each, totaling 25 years in prison. Nwude also had to forfeit his assets, including his property and bank accounts, and pay restitution to his victims. Nwude's accomplices were also arrested and charged, with some receiving prison sentences while others fled the country. The Nigerian government also took steps to improve its anti-corruption measures in the wake of the scandal. Nwude's reputation was irreparably damaged by the scandal, and he spent several years in prison before being released on bail in 2017 due to health reasons. While he may have given back to his community in the past, his actions in the airport scam ultimately resulted in severe consequences. Nwude's imprisonment had a significant impact on both his personal and professional life. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for his role in the airport scam, and during this time, he lost his wealth and status. He also faced public humiliation and shame. Upon his release from prison, Nwude struggled to rebuild his life. He was ostracized by his community and many of his former friends and associates, and he found it difficult to find work. Despite this, he remained determined to turn his life around and started a new business venture. Nwude's reputation as a convicted criminal made it challenging for him to gain trust and credibility with potential business partners, but he persevered and eventually managed to rebuild some of his wealth and success. However, he has remained a controversial figure in Nigeria, with some seeing him as a criminal and others as a symbol of the country's corrupt political system. During his time in prison, Nwude was said to have been depressed and struggled with his physical and mental health. He also reportedly lost a significant amount of weight. Despite this, he continued to maintain his innocence and appealed his conviction multiple times. Following his release from prison in 2006, Nwude was greeted as somewhat of a celebrity in Nigeria. He became a topic of interest in the media, with many publications covering his story and his life after prison. Some people saw him as a symbol of the corruption and fraud that was rampant in Nigeria at the time, while others viewed him as a victim of the system. Since his release, Nwude has largely stayed out of the public eye. He has given few interviews and has not made any public statements about his experience. However, his story continues to be a cautionary tale about the dangers of fraud and corruption and the importance of ethical behavior in business and politics. Emmanuel Nwude's story has garnered a lot of attention in Nigeria, where he has become somewhat of a celebrity. Despite the negative aspects of his actions, many people in Nigeria admire Nwude's ingenuity and boldness. Some see him as a folk hero who dared to pull off a massive scam that targeted wealthy foreigners, while others view him as a symbol of the corrupt practices that have plagued Nigeria's business and political landscape. Since his release from prison, Nwude has become a sort of cult figure in Nigeria, with many people seeking him out for advice and inspiration. He has even been invited to speak at events and conferences, where he shares his story and offers insights on business and entrepreneurship. Some people have even suggested that Nwude's story should be made into a movie, as it is a prime example of the kind of audacious and thrilling tales that often captivate audiences. I hope this video is productive for you all. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos.